In the year 2187, humans were still considered the weakest species in the galaxy. Not because they lacked intelligence, not because they lacked courage, but because humanity cared too much. In a galaxy ruled by logic, power, and survival, humans still protected strangers, still cried for the dead, still risked their lives for people they barely knew. Most alien civilizations considered that weakness, especially the Dravari Empire, a cold and militaristic species that believed emotions made civilizations fragile. And among them, one girl would discover just how terrifying human compassion could become. Commander Kaelira stood silently inside the prison deck of the Dravari flagship Oblivion. Tall, silver-haired, sharp golden eyes. At only 22, she had already become one of the Empire's youngest commanders. Feared by enemies, respected by soldiers, emotionless. At least, that's what everyone believed. The prison cell before her contained a single human. A young engineer named Noah Reyes. Dirty clothes, bruised face. Yet somehow, still smiling. Kaelira frowned. "You were captured 3 days ago," she said coldly. "Why are you smiling?" Noah looked up calmly. "Because your guard forgot to feed the little alien kid in the lower deck." Kaelira blinked. "What?" "I gave him my food." For several seconds she simply stared at him. Humans confused her. The child belonged to a species humanity had fought only months earlier. Yet this prisoner shared his own food without hesitation. "Why would you help an enemy?" she asked. Noah shrugged slightly. "Because he was hungry." That answer bothered her far more than it should have. Over the following weeks, Kaelira continued interrogating Noah. But every conversation only made her more curious. Humans laughed during disasters, protected civilians before themselves, and formed emotional bonds incredibly quickly. One day she finally asked the question directly. "Why do humans care so much about others?" Noah leaned back against the prison wall. "Because someday we'll need someone to care about us too." Kaelira didn't understand. The Dravari Empire taught that survival belonged only to the strong. Weak species disappeared. That was simply reality. But humans were different. History records showed human soldiers diving into explosions to save teammates. Doctors remaining on infected planets to help strangers. Parents sacrificing everything for children. Even now, after losing wars and colonies, humanity still helped others. It made no sense. And yet, Kaelira secretly admired it. 3 days later, the Oblivion received an emergency transmission. A civilian ship was under attack near the outer asteroid fields. Pirates. Dravari protocol was simple. Ignore civilian losses. Protect military assets only. Kaelira prepared to continue course. Then Noah spoke from behind the energy barrier of his cell. "You're really leaving them?" "It is not our responsibility. There are children on that ship." Kaelira hesitated. The logical choice was obvious. Saving them risked Dravari soldiers unnecessarily. But Noah stepped closer. "If humans were out there," he said quietly, "we'd help." Those words stayed in her mind. For the first time in her life, Commander Kaelira disobeyed orders. "Change course," she ordered. The bridge crew stared in shock. "But Commander..." That was not a suggestion. Moments later the Oblivion entered battle. Pirate ships exploded across the asteroid field. The civilians survived. And for the first time, Kaelira felt something strange. Pride. The rescue should have been simple. Instead, they found something horrifying. Every pirate ship had already been damaged before the Oblivion arrived. Entire hulls torn apart. No life signs. No survivors. Then the sensors detected movement. A massive unidentified vessel emerged from the darkness between asteroids. Black armor. No markings. No communication signals. The ship fired instantly. One blast tore through a Dravari cruiser beside them. Alarms screamed across the bridge. "What is that thing?" an officer shouted. No one knew. But Noah's face turned pale. "I've heard stories," he whispered. "Human colonies disappearing near deep space." The unknown ship moved again. Fast. Too fast. Another cruiser vanished in flames. Kaelira immediately ordered retreat. But the enemy followed them. Patient. Silent. Like a predator hunting wounded prey. The Oblivion barely escaped into a nearby nebula. Systems were failing. Weapons damaged. Half the crew injured. And the enemy ship was still coming. Dravari officers panicked. But Noah suddenly stepped toward the tactical display. "I have an idea." Several soldiers laughed immediately. "A human prisoner wants to save us?" Noah ignored them. "The nebula gases are unstable. If we overload your engines at the right moment." Kaelira realized what he meant instantly. The explosion would destroy both ships. Noah nodded. "But your escape pods could survive." One officer shouted angrily. "That's suicide." Noah looked at him calmly. "Yeah." Silence filled the bridge. Then Kaelira understood something terrifying about humans. They were willing to die. For people who weren't even their own species. The enemy vessel entered the nebula. Closing fast. Weapons charging. Kaelira stared at the countdown timer. 30 seconds until impact. She looked at Noah. "You knew this could happen when you gave us the plan." "Pretty much." "You would sacrifice yourself for us?" Noah smiled weakly. "You saved civilians today. That matters." For the first time in years, Kaelira felt emotion break through her cold military discipline. Not fear. Not anger. Respect. Deep, painful respect. She suddenly made her decision. "No," she said firmly. Before Noah could react, Kaelira shoved him toward an escape pod. "What are you doing?" "Protecting the future." She sealed the pod from outside. Alarms blared. "Noah Reyes," she said quietly through the glass, "humanity may be weak in body." The enemy ship emerged through the nebula behind her. "But your hearts are stronger than any empire." The pod launched seconds before Kaelira overloaded the reactor. A star was born inside the nebula. The explosion consumed everything. 2 years later, the story of Commander Kaelira spread across the galaxy. The Dravari Empire changed slowly after her sacrifice. Not through conquest. Not through fear. But through the example of one human and one alien girl who learned compassion from him. And when humanity finally joined the Galactic Council as equals, a statue was built in the center of the capital world. It showed a human boy and a Dravari commander standing side by side beneath the stars. At the bottom were engraved the final words Kaelira ever spoke. "Strength is not the power to destroy. Strength is choosing to protect others, even when it hurts."